Stealth is an Intamin Accelerator coaster at Thorpe Park. This ride is basically a mini King to Ka and an absolute rush, and as of this recording, it holds the distinction as the world's fastest accelerating coaster, at least according to the park. In this review, I will discuss that record and the ride experience as a whole. At the turn of the millennium, Thorpe Park decided to transform itself into a thrill park, so they added 5 roller coasters between 2002 and 2012. This started off with Colossus in 2002 and Nemesis Inferno in 2003. The third coaster in the sequence opened in 2006 and is the subject of this video, Stealth. This was an Intamin Accelerator coaster. This model uses a powerful hydraulic launch to accelerate trains to eye-popping top speeds. Tussauds, the then owners of Thorpe Park, purchased 3 of these coasters in the mid-2000s. First was Rita at Alton Towers in 2005. Second was Stealth in 2006. Third was Desert Race at Haida Park in 2007. While both Rita and Desert Race still had punchy launches, these rides were much smaller in scale. Neither of those coasters exceed 70 feet or 21 meters in height. Meanwhile, Stealth is a statistical monster. It stands 205 feet or 62.5 meters tall. This opened as the second tallest coaster in the United Kingdom, just behind the big one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And to be honest, I am stunned Thorpe didn't try to take the country's height record with this coaster. Thorpe eventually got it in 2024 when Hyperia opened. Stealth did open as the UK's fastest roller coaster, and it still shares that record today with Hyperia. Stealth's launch blasts riders up to 80 miles per hour, or 129 kilometers per hour. Blackpool claims that Big One hits a max speed of 85 miles per hour, or 137 kilometers per hour, but that is physically impossible given that ride's height. The ride's manufacturer posted the ride's top speed as 74 miles per hour, or 119 kilometers per hour, which is believed to be more accurate. Stealth has always had one of the strongest launches out there. The speed has always been reported as 80 miles per hour, but the acceleration time has changed throughout the years. Originally, the sign adjacent to the entrance said the coaster accelerated in 2.3 seconds, but for many years, Thorpe said this coaster took 1.9 seconds to reach its max speed, despite what that sign said. Then in 2024, Thorpe said Stealth reaches its max speed in 1.8 seconds. At this point, they updated the signage. So which figure is accurate? I believe the 2.3 second acceleration was true initially, but I heard that Stealth had issues with frequent rollbacks shortly after opening. So the park and Intamin modified the launch to accelerate a bit faster. The 1.9 second figure was low enough for Thorpe to claim that Stealth was Europe's fastest accelerating coaster for much of its life. The only time it wasn't were the 3 days in 2013 when Nurburgring's Ring Racer coaster was actually operational. This was an SS compressed air launch coaster, but it was closed due to technical issues and financial difficulties. The worldwide record for the fastest acceleration was owned by Do-Dodonpa of Fuji-Q Highland. This was yet another SNS air launch coaster. This one accelerated riders to 112 miles per hour, or 180 kilometers per hour, in just 1.56 seconds. That acceleration rate was nearly double that of Stealth. It felt like you were being rammed by a semi-truck. It was insane. So insane that 18 injuries were reported on the coaster between 2020 and 2021. This included multiple riders with broken bones. Reports suggest they were not facing forwards as instructed when the launch kicked in, leading to the injuries. But Japan takes any accident very seriously, so Do-Dodonpa closed in 2021 and was removed in 2024. Max Force at Six Flags Great America was originally believed to be the new fastest accelerating coaster. This is yet another air launch coaster from SNS. It opened in 2019 and accelerated riders from 0 to 78 miles per hour, or 126 kilometers per hour, in just 1.8 seconds. However, last year, Thorpe clarified that Stealth actually hits its 80-mile-per-hour speed in just 1.8 seconds, allowing it to narrowly edge out Max Force. But is this true? It is hard to say. We have seen theme parks fudge stats whenever it's to their benefit. Let's look at the aforementioned big one. I already talked about how the speed figure was exaggerated, but the height is as well. The park claims that Big One is 235 feet, or 72 meters tall. That is actually the height above sea level. Most parks traditionally report height figures from ground level. Using that, Big One is actually 213 feet, or 65 meters tall. Still impressive though. Energylandia is another park that has over-exaggerated the heights of multiple coasters. Then it was common for a lot of older wood coasters to overstate their max speed. For example, do we really believe the Coney Island Cyclone hits 60 miles per hour or 97 kilometers per hour? That is impossible at the ride's max height. But back to Stealth. The question is whether they fudged the numbers or actually changed the launch. I think it's unlikely they tweaked the launch yet again. I think the most likely scenario is that Stealth was always capable of hitting the top speed in 1.8 seconds, but it more consistently hit 1.9 seconds. As long as Do-Dodonpa existed, it was not noticeably different which figure they picked. But once Do-Dodonpa closed and the world record was on the line, the 1.8 second figure was suddenly a lot more advantageous. Given how we are talking about 1/10 of a second, it would be nearly impossible for a bystander to discern the difference with the visual observations. It is also possible the computer shares this information, but I'm not sure. Regardless, the key takeaway is that this launch is really strong. And if it's not quite the world's fastest accelerating coaster, it is darn close. Stealth is imposing on Thorpe's skyline. It is located in the back corner of the park, towering over everything in that area of the park. The upper parts of the ride were deliberately painted white to blend in with the UK's notoriously cloudy skies. So it doesn't always pop from afar, but it looks great on sunny days. And it looks mostly good up close. The only thing is that there's a cable that is always hanging off the top hat. It looks like it shouldn't be there, almost as if something fell off. But it is intentionally in place for staff members to quickly rescue a train if it were to stall atop the top hat. The lower sections of black track before fading on the top hat. It is always cool seeing coasters with multicolored paint schemes like this. Then the ride is part of the Amity Speedway section of the park. As the name suggests, it is themed as a raceway. The midway is placed in the center of Stealth, so this whole area buzzes whenever the coaster is cycling. I also really like this coaster's entrance. You pass underneath an oversized tire with some billboards alongside it. This coaster has solid capacity. The train seats a max of 20 riders, as there are 5 cars with 2 rows of 2. I have always seen this coaster using 2 trains, but I believe they own 3. This allows them to consistently have 2 trains going year-round. Operations are also pretty fast in this coaster. All loose articles are stored in cubbies before you reach the train. The crew checks restraints quickly. Then, there's a separate load and unload platform, which allows guests to board more swiftly. Now this coaster launches directly from the station. Usually, this is a detriment to capacity, as the next train typically cannot advance until the prior one clears the top hat. But Stealth was smartly built and programmed with some extra brake fins on the launch track. This means there's an extra block zone after the station. This means that trains can advance immediately after the prior one takes off. This saves several seconds each cycle, which adds up over the course of an hour and a day. If you want to learn more about this unique block system, El Toro Ryan has a great video all about it. Stealth will often hit a 30 to 45 minute wait most days. The wait will usually be a bit less than the park's other major coasters due to the quick operations and a short cycle time, but it can still exceed an hour on particularly busy days. If you want an even shorter wait, there are 2 great options. 1. Head here immediately after the park opens. Most guests in 2024 went straight for Hyperia, and the others stopped at the coasters closer to the main entrance. If you go straight to Stealth, you can usually get a ride or two in with absolutely no wait. 2. Use the park's paid Fast Track Skip the Line pass. This merges at the station, so you usually don't have to wait more than 2 or 3 trains max. Fast Track can be pricey, but it comes in a few different flavors. There are single shots, there are multi-ride packages allowing you to skip the line for a handful of coasters once, there is the all-day unlimited option, then there's the hotel-exclusive unlimited Stealth Fast Track. The on-site Shark cabins have rooms themed at different coasters. Your room comes with an unlimited Fast Track for the coaster your room is themed to. You select the room or coaster at the time of booking. Until an all-day Hyperia Fast Track becomes available, I recommend picking Stealth given the ride quality and swift boarding. Some of the other rides have longer Fast Track queues because of where you merge. This means you can better maximize the perk with Stealth. This is on top of the additional benefit that you get 1 hour of unlimited Fast Track at the very start or end of the day. At the end of the queue, you are free to select any row you'd like. I split my rides fairly evenly between the front and back. I love both seats. The front gets the full force of the launch, but I think the top has even more intense in back. Riders are secured by over-the-shoulder restraints. These are identical to the ones on Merlin's other 2 Accelerator coasters, or rides like Busch Gardens Tampa's Cheetah Hunt, or Six Flags Great Adventure's former Kingda Ka. These restraints consist of a thick bar over your leg. Then, there are hard shoulder straps. The latter can cause issues if the ride is rough or has abrupt directional changes, but Stealth has neither, so they are not a major issue here. Would I prefer more freeing lap bars? Sure, that would enhance the experience. But the current restraints do not hurt, and I still can appreciate the forces with them. I know taller guests may find them uncomfortable though on their shoulders. Now I need to touch on this ride's reliability. Intamin Accelerator coasters are more prone to closures than other attractions. There are 3 common reasons that can close these attractions: mechanical, rain, or wind. The hydraulic launch is complex. This includes a lot of moving parts between the catch car, launch cable, and retractable brakes. The computer will throw an error if anything is off. I have visited Thorpe Park a handful of times, and Stealth runs consistently. I cannot recall ever seeing it closed. Most hydraulic launch coasters close in the rain. This is seen on any of the US installations. It is also the case with the aforementioned desert race. But Stealth remained open for me in the rain, much to my surprise. Was it a bit uncomfortable? Yes, but it completely cleared out the queue for those willing to marathon it, and at least it was my choice if I wanted to ride it or not. And the website confirms it can run heavy rain as well, so this was not a fluke. Wind can also be an issue on the taller hydraulic launch coasters. The train is more prone to rollbacks, or worse, stalling out perfectly on the top hat. One of my visits to Thorpe Park was on a blustery day with 40+ mile-per-hour wind gusts. I was not expecting Stealth to run because the website posts its max wind speed as 31 miles per hour, but it was actually cycling with no notable issues. Meanwhile, Hyperia, which is listed with a max wind speed of 47 miles per hour, was the only coaster closed, so I suspect wind direction plays a big role into it. Once secured, Stealth begins its theatric launch. The catch car grabs the train and moves it back and forth slightly. Meanwhile, an audio recording advises riders to keep their heads back, and you better heed that. You also hear the sounds of engines revving. Then, there are 2 awesome visual elements as well. The back of the station fills with steam. It envelops those in the back car, and it's really cool seeing the cloud move when the train takes off. Then, the front of the station has some racing lights signaling when you'll take off. All these elements together build a lot of anticipation for the launch, and that launch is spectacular. You are abruptly yanked down the launch track. It is a beautiful display of power. Up front, the wind punches you in the face. then everyone can appreciate the speed. Then, you get disoriented with how quickly you accelerate forwards. Of the hydraulic launches out there, I think Accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm still has the best kick. That one is so abrupt that it offers a stomach drop sensation at takeoff. I don't get that feeling on Stealth, which is odd because the launch statistically is stronger, but Stealth's launch otherwise feels close to that of Accelerator, and no other launch in Europe can match this one for the violence of the takeoff. The train then flies over the large top hat. You clear this with a lot of speed. This results in some wonderful forces. You get good ejector over the top hat in front, but it's extra sweet in back. You get nice floater on the ascent. Then, it switches to great ejector in the descent. So it's one continuous moment with two distinctly different types of airtime. And as a bonus, the twist in the descent offers some nice laterals, particularly if you're on the right side of the train. When you get laterals of any kind with that type of airtime, it is special. The pullout then blasts riders with intense positive Gs. The ride reportedly hits 4.7 Gs, and I believe this is where it occurs. These are strong anyway, but they hit extra hard because of the rapid and dramatic shift from the top hat's ejector airtime. You also once again feel the ride's immense speed here. Stealth then flies over a camelback. While the one in Kingda Ka was often panned for having little to no airtime, Stealth's has plenty of negative Gs. It offers good ejector airtime for all. It cuts off abruptly though, as there are breaks in the descent. This causes you to land on the nub in between your legs if you're not careful. This is not the most comfortable feeling, so I would brace yourself against the restraint to avoid any unwanted surprises. You then smoothly decelerate and return to the station, ending the 1,312 foot or 400 meter long experience. That is not a lot of track length, especially because Stealth travels so quickly. As a result, this coaster is just 15 seconds of prime ride time, making it one of the shortest coasters out there. This is easily the biggest con with this coaster. It is over in the blink of an eye. So what would I rate Stealth? I would give this coaster an 8.5 out of 10. This is a very good Accelerator coaster. The launch is theatric and powerful. It is one of the best launches out there for raw power. The yank and speed are lovely. Then the top hat and camelback offer some strong negative Gs as well. I just wish this coaster were longer, which is a commonality with this model, but what Stealth has is an absolute rush. Those are my thoughts on Stealth at Thorpe Park. What are your thoughts on this record-breaking launch coaster? Do you love the ride? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.